So you're procrastinating, but do you even know why? Truth is, tips and hacks won't help you overcome procrastination if you can't even get to the root of why you're procrastinating to begin with. Stick around and learn 6 strategies to get to the core root of why you're procrastinating so you can get started and start feeling more productive starting today. Before we go ahead and dive right in for even more advice on how to create that business and that lifestyle that allows you to have the freedom and flexibility that you've always craved, be sure to go ahead and hit subscribe and tap that bell so that you get notified the next time a new video airs. I'll admit, I procrastinate too. In fact, in the past, I've hired coaches to actually keep me accountable and call me out when they notice I'm doing it. The number one most valuable part about having an impartial third party on the outside looking in, monitoring every single move that you make, is that it becomes that much easier to identify the core root of why you're procrastinating. You become self-aware, and this is a skill you got to build up over time. In my entrepreneurship coaching program, the Validate Your Biz Blueprint, I provide that third-party perspective to my own clients so that they could work towards developing their own self-awareness. Over the years, I've noticed there are 6 core causes of procrastination, and each one of them requires a different strategy to overcome them. The very first root cause is fear of failure. Truth is, sometimes we feel like by not trying or by putting things off, then it makes it that much easier to not fail. Because if we're not putting in any action, we can't be held accountable for actions that we took that didn't give us the desired results, right? So, in order to be able to stop procrastinating, if this is a very, very common roadblock for you, is you're gonna have to overcome your fear of failure. And there are multiple different strategies to help with this. Probably the one that most people aren't going to want to hear, but here's some tough love, is you just kind of have to push yourself through it and do it, even though it's uncomfortable, because the more and more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And then you become less and less fearful of taking action. But until you actually address your fear of failure, you're going to constantly procrastinate all the time. So that's the first one. Another core root of procrastination is not having set priorities, right? And not being clear on your priorities. So when you're not crystal clear on your priorities, you're not going to know what you need to be taking action on to begin with. So you end up in a state of constant inaction and putting things off because you have no idea what that first next step is. So great example of this is not too long ago, I was, speaking to a potential client for the Validate Your Biz Blueprint, and she had undergone so many different time management programs, but still wasn't getting the results that she wanted. She wanted to start a new business, and she wasn't sure that despite her very best efforts, why she kept ending up in the exact same place and not taking any action, despite clearing her calendar and doing everything she did in terms of time management, being able to balance, launching her business with her job. And after our discussion, come to find out that she wasn't clear on what the next step was that she needed to be taking for starting her new business. So it completely makes sense why she'd keep procrastinating on it, because she didn't know what she needed to be doing next. So make sure your priorities are crystal clear, and that'll help you start taking action again. The third core root is, even if you are clear on what your priorities are, not scheduling them on your calendar. So this is kind of the opposite situation to what I described before, where you are crystal clear, but you're not doing the time management to actually block off time to take care of whatever that priority is. Because the truth is, we make time for what's most important for us. And if you're procrastinating on something, that's kind of just showing yourself as well as showing the world that it's just not that important to you. So by every single week going through and marking off some time on your calendar to take care of whatever the thing is that you're procrastinating, it will give you the space that you need to finally take action towards it. So I'd love to know, are these resonating for you so far? If so, be sure to go ahead and like this video and then drop me a fire emoji in the comments below. So the next root cause of procrastination is, even if you have time scheduled out on your calendar, not using that time effectively. So a lot of folks, they'll dive in and they'll allow themselves to get distracted, let the phone ring, get your kid a snack, and they won't fully focus all of their attention on whatever the task is at hand. They'll multitask any number of different things, which will further cause them to procrastinate on the one task that they should be taking care of. So, one very easy strategy to get around this one is using something called the Pomodoro Method. It's super simple. All you do is you set yourself a timer for 25 minutes. You can do this on your phone, you can do this on an app. I have a timer that's built into my computer that works great. So you set yourself a timer for 25 minutes, and mentally, when you sit down to focus on that task, you know, I am only going to work on this task for 25 minutes. Again, super simple. You communicate, if you're a mom like me, communicate it to your kids, communicate it to everybody that for that 25 minutes, you cannot be disrupted. And it's much easier mentally, even if it's a task that you're really dreading to do, to mentally say, I'm going to devote minimum 25 minutes to handle this task. Because truth is, once you're into it, maybe 5 minutes or so of really focused effort, the rest of it becomes easy and you want to get the task done. So you go ahead, you work that focused effort for 25 minutes. Then the timer goes off. You give yourself 5 minutes to take a break, be a bathroom break, grab a snack, get your kids a snack, whatever that might look like. And then you set another timer for 25 minutes and you repeat it. So super, super easy way or hack, I should say, to be able to make sure that you're focused on the task at hand, prevents you from multitasking and ultimately procrastinating on whatever it is you need to get done. So the next time you feel like procrastinating, go ahead, try out the Pomodoro method and see if it works for you. Another root cause of procrastination is perfectionism. So, believe it or not, if you have no issue working on a project, but the project never ever seems to finish because you're always tweaking it, looking at minor details, trying to make things better, believe it or not, this is a form of procrastination. So, a lot of times, perfectionists, myself included, will continue to work on a task in efforts to make it perfect to then be able to present it to the world. And ultimately, this is still rooted in fear of failure, that very, very first root cause that I talked about earlier. Because we're afraid if we don't put something out that's absolutely perfect to the letter, that people are going to judge us or they're going to, critique it, or you're going to ultimately fail and have to go back to the drawing board. The truth is, especially when starting a business or an entrepreneurship, that done is better than perfect. So if you find yourself really struggling with perfectionism in particular, and that's causing you to not see the traction on your actions and your projects that you really want in the time frame that you want, definitely look into, for a mindset shift, done is better than perfect. So you're much better off putting out a product that is close to being great. That's like the minimum viable effort that you're willing to put out. And then from there, testing and seeing how it works out, because then it's so much easier to kind of dive back in and make minor tweaks and make it even better later. So don't hold yourself back for it not being perfect. Get it out there into the world because ultimately people want to see it. Last but not least, this is a core root that I find is really the penultimate. And this takes some work to really kind of get right. And it's you're procrastinating because whatever action step it is you're procrastinating on is not in alignment with your true goals. So it could be it's not in alignment with what you truly believe you should be doing. It could be it's not in alignment with what the ultimate end goal is of the project. It could be any number of things. So ultimately, a lot of times we procrastinate on things that deep down we know are wasting our time. We also procrastinate on things that are difficult that ultimately don't take us to where we want to go. So again, that's why I say alignment is so, so important. So if you find yourself, in a state where you're, for example, let's just say there's a marketing task, right? That you constantly put off. You absolutely hate marketing, but it's something that has to get done for your business, but you absolutely hate the task each and every time you go in to do it. Let's say you're doing social media as an example, and it just really irks you to be on social media. It doesn't feel good. You don't like the energy you put off. And this will ultimately make you procrastinate on marketing your business if you're doing a marketing task that isn't something that you enjoy doing. So maybe it's not social media. Maybe instead you're really in your element networking, going out and meeting people face to face and shaking hands. That's still marketing. So really kind of reevaluate the tasks that you tend to procrastinate on the most and try to identify different ways that you might be able to achieve the same end result through a different course of action. Because when you're able to more or less align your actions with what your ultimate goals are, you're going to see the momentum that you're looking for again. So if today's video really rang true to you and procrastination is preventing you from starting that business that you've always wanted to start, let's work on it together. I invite you to book a call with me and my team to discuss whether or not my program, the Validate Your Biz Blueprint, can help you achieve your goals. Apply to book your call today by clicking the link below in the description. Be sure to check out these videos next to even further increase your productivity and grow your brand new business. And if you liked today's video, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. I'll see you guys next time.